Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Trogdor, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have more PTL stuff. It is now week number 2 of the PTL. We had our first week. That was, we'll talk about it in a second. It's week 2 number now. I'm actually recording this early because I played my week 2 battle like mad early, so I'm getting like a bunch of recordings done in one day, but that's alright. Nothing too crazy, timelines out of order or anything like that, as we've had before. So my opponent is Gremlin, and he's got a pretty good team, which we talked more about in the team builder. He brought more or less what I expected. Wasn't so sure about Tornadus Incarnate coming or any of that, but I definitely expected like the Latios and Necrozma. Prim just like runs through my team in the right settings. Mamoswine, like why wouldn't you bring that? And Buzzwole's a decent check to Weavile, except the set that I brought. So week 1 happened, and we had a 1-0 loss, which was kind of unfortunate, especially because like the win was like within reach multiple times, but it just didn't happen. But that's okay. I know now that it's like if I just like have my head in the game and don't play like, you know, if I have my head in the game and actually remember how to play Pokemon, I've got like a good chance of like winning for the rest of the season. So I intend to do that, obviously, keep my head in the game, know what I need to do to win and all that. So my opponent brought Mega Latios, that's the Mega Latios, Necrozma, Primarina, Buzzwole, Mamoswine, and Tornadus Incarnate. I know for a fact that Primarina is going to be a huge problem for me. I also know that besides Prim, Weavile just like blows through this team. Like Latios like dies to Ice Punch and not so much knockoff. Necrozma, unless it's like Fizz Def, Colbur Berry, it takes a huge amount of damage from knockoff. Buzzwole, I actually have the Aerial Ace. He's probably going to be a very bulky set, but I can 2-hit KO it on an Aerial Ace, so it's like predict that on the switch, and then it's like he's got nothing. Mamoswine gets just like dropped from low kick, and Tornadus I doubt it's going to be Scarfed, and it just dies to Ice Punch. So the rest of my team is Cresselia. I'm actually doing sub Calm Mind this game, because if I can like get up a safe sub and like stay healthy and Calm Mind, it actually does really, really well versus this team. Cofagrigus is there to like hit hard and take hits and do all that. I have Mega Steelix. I've got Rocks and Roar. Roar is going to be very helpful for me this game, especially with like the likes of Bulk Up Buzzwole. Whatever. Necrozma has so much setup, so it's like I've got Roar for that. And also like Dragon Dance and Calm Mind, Mega Latios. I want to Roar that away forever. Rotom, I am running Scarf for the second week in a row because it's just that good. His Volt Switch immunity is Mamoswine, which just gets bought by Overheat, which is really great. And yeah, he really didn't want to take... nothing wants to take an Overheat on his team, and nothing wants to take a Volt Switch. His dual stabs are just so good. And I also have Azumarill, which is essentially Mamoswine insurance. Like, Mamoswine just runs through so many teams. Like, its dual stab is amazing. No one questions that. So it's like if something goes down to the Mamoswine, Azumarill's Aqua Jet just bops it. So it's Mamoswine insurance, which I really need. But overall, his team composition, like I can handle this quite well. Weavile like does a really good job against it. My offense is just going to overwhelm him. And besides Primarina, like nothing is going to like be a huge struggle for me. So let's get straight into this battle. He leads Mamoswine and I lead Rotom, and I'm actually Scarfed Will-O-Wisp. So I actually predicted this lead matchup, and I thought if he leads Mamoswine, I'm going to... Well, I didn't predict him to lead Mamoswine. I was leading Rotom, Volt Switch incoming, and he comes into Mamo. So my idea was to like Will-O-Wisp turn 1, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm probably going to scare out the Mamoswine with the Overheat, but I'm going to Will-O-Wisp if it stays in and goes for Rocks or something. Or it might even have Stone Edge. I actually kind of forgot about that for a second, but I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. he switches out and goes for Necrozma, so that is burned. So just in case it was some sort of physical setup set, that's actually really great, but it could also be a very viable special set. But now I'm going to see if it has lefties or not. It does not. Makes me think that it is in fact Colbur. I've got Cofagrigus. He goes for the Toxic. That's kind of unfortunate, but you know, it's really whatever. I go for Hex because that would have just been doing big damage to the Necrozma, but Tornadus comes in instead. I could Toxic this and go for another Hex and just do big damage, but goes for U-turn as it gets rid of the Prankster. That's whatever, because I miss a Toxic, which sucks. That's one of the only ways I can safely deal with Primarina. So I'm going to have to go for another Toxic right here and take a huge hit from Primarina because I need to get this on a timer. Moonblast almost KOs me. I go for the Toxic, it lands, but I go down to Toxic Poison myself. Cofagrigus was kind of wasted. I got a little bit of damage on the Tornadus. I Toxic the Primarina, which is great actually, but at the same time, it's like, before I could bring it in Buzzwole, before I could properly deal with Necrozma, Cofagrigus was just went down way too early, which I'm not tilted by that or anything. I would much rather have a safe switch into Prim right here to go for Volt Switch with Rotom, which, speaking of, how obvious does that Volt Switch look right here? I'm predicting Mamoswine to come in hard right here, so I'm going to make a ballsy play early game and go for an Overheat. If he stays in and... Okay, because first of all, he's locked into Moonblast. If it's not a Specs Prim, then I don't know what he's doing. So it's probably going to switch out. If it was locked into Surf or something, that would be a whole different story. But if I, hit the Primarina with an Overheat, that's going to be bad news for me. But if he switches into, even a Buzzwole doesn't want to take this. But I'm predicting Mamoswine to come out because even if it's max HP Assault Vest, 2 Overheats will take it down. And that's including Thick Fat. So ballsy play coming in right here. If he stays in, I'm kind of screwed. Depends on what he goes into. So let's see how that pans out. He goes into the Mamoswine, takes a huge Overheat, and that's just, wow. I am so glad that I made a ballsy play like that. And that he, took so much damage. So now another Overheat kills. No question about that. He's probably going into the Primarina right now. I'm just going to hit another Overheat because, I have nothing to lose from that. But now I have to have something switch into a Hydro Pump or a Surf. Cresselia takes a ton of damage from that. A ton of damage right there. So I don't want to stay in because I want to stay healthy enough to set up a sub on something. Although as unlikely as that is looking right now. But I don't have a good switch into the Hydro Pump. My best switch is probably Azumarill, in all honesty. So I'm going to go into that. I should have done that in the first place anyway. So he goes into Mamoswine, and my insurance policy kicks in, and I'm able to go for an Aqua Jet. But he switches into Necrozma. This is great because I already know that he doesn't have leftovers. Aqua Jet is doing about a third. A couple points more. It's a guaranteed 3-hit KO, especially after the burn. So I have many more Aqua Jets than he has Recovery, if he has the Morning Sun or Moonlight or whatever. So I've got no reason to not keep going for Aqua Jets. If he does anything but Recover, I can KO it from this range, no problem. So I'm just going to go for a few Aqua Jets right here, as he does in fact have, the Moonlight. That's only got 8 PP, whereas Aqua Jet has 30 or something? So if he doesn't go for Moonlight at any point, he's going to go down. Even right here as he goes for the Toxic, which that's fine. He has to switch now into the Buzzwole right here, so I go for the Aqua Jet. Buzzwole is pretty scary. Its dual stab actually does really well versus my team. But what's more important for me to find out is whether or not this is a Scarf Buzzwole. If it's Scarfed, that's making that's really limiting what Weavile can do. But at the same time, if he goes for a fighting move right here and he has choice, I can go out into Cresselia and start setting up with that. So whether or not it's choiced or not, it's either good or bad for me. So we'll find out on that. He goes for the Drain Punch. It's doing actually a pretty big chunk to Steelix right here. But I want to get up my rocks, of course, because that'll like limit things like his Tornadus and whatnot. And even though Steelix is low, I'm going to keep it for a little bit. Drain Punch is doing... That was a crit and it's doing nothing to me. So I can set up a sub safely, even after another Drain Punch. And he's either choice right here. If he's choiced, Cresselia starts setting up, and he doesn't really have much for it. Necrozma's really low. Primarina is toxic and will have to take a huge hit from me, and then go down to toxic as it breaks my sub. Buzzwole, like, can't do anything to me because I've got Psychic. Mamoswine is getting low, and Latios, like, could hit me with the Shadow Ball, but... So, it's a good situation for me. He does, in fact, reveal the Leech Life, though. So, even though Cresselia's day is, like, over now, this means that Weavile outspeeds and KOs. So, that's great. That's actually really great for me. I'm quite happy about that. He could have bluffed the... What do you call it? He could have bluffed the choice this whole time, but then he would have risked Crest getting up like Calm Minds, and I'd be at close to full now. But I opt to stay in, go for a Psychic to get it 100% in range of my Aerial Ace. So Weavile's day is just looking brighter and brighter every day. I'm going to sack Steelix right here. Well, not quite, because Leech Life doesn't KO me. But Drain Punch, even after his recovery, it's still in range for Weavile's Aerial Ace, which I'm going to go in. He may or may not think that I am choiced, but Aerial Ace KOs a Mamoswine. I was hoping that I would get to use Low Kick, but, you know, that's fine. So, Primarina comes in, and I have to sack something now. It's not in range for a knockoff. I want to get it down to, like, 45%. So, basically, another couple rounds of Toxic will do the trick. So, this is actually kind of not the best scenario for me. I'm going to go in... I'm pretty sure I go into Azumarill here. Or, no, I go into Cresselia. Azumarill would have been much smarter, but he's at 45% now. But I go into Rotom Yeet. At the time, just looked like the better play, because with Mamoswine gone, also I can Volt Switch freely on literally everything. So I can grab some momentum, and now every time Weavile comes in, it gets a kill. So Weavile comes in, and yeah, he Mega Evolves, and you're not taking an Ice Punch. So yeah, now my battle plan is like, grab momentum with Rotom, and if I have to like sack something like the Azumarill can tank a lot of hits actually, but every time I grab momentum with Rotom, Weavile gets a KO. And the Primarina is in range of knockoff now, so he doesn't know that I'm not choiced, so that's great. He would have been able to live an Ice Punch for sure. And right here, so Tornadus comes in, and I'm thinking like, oh right, that gets Tailwind. A +2 Buzzwole actually gives me a huge problem. Azumarill can tank a hit, but it's going to have to be a matter of I just keep Weavile safe and let Tailwind peter out, and then I can win again. So, but he's going to have to sack his Torn to get up that Tailwind, so then it would just be Necrozma and Buzzwole that get the +2, so I'm going to have to like keep Rotom and Azumarill alive long enough for that to peter out, which it's 50-50 whether or not that's going to happen. Depends on his coverage, of course. It depends on like if I actually play smart. But I've got my head in the game at this point, and I know that I know what I got to do. So he does in fact go for the Tailwind. Ice Punch like destroys him. Had I had Ice Shard this game, I would have like out prioritized him, but you know, that's fine. I needed all the extra coverage for Weavile this game. Buzzwole comes in, it takes Rock, that's fine. I go into Azumarill. He predicts that and goes for a Poison Jab, which was pretty great actually. And 2 more turns of Tailwind. I'm very fortunate that I lived that hit. I'm able to get some Aqua Jet damage on this Buzzwole. Doesn't KO, but that's okay. And yeah, there's 1 more turn of Tailwind, and I've got Rotom. He goes for the Drain Punch. That nearly takes me out as I go for the Shadow Ball, because just in case Rotom's able to clean up right here, like I'm choice locked obviously, so I've got to hit the Buzzwole and the Necrozma just in case like I need to use Rotom to clean up right here. But even after the Tailwind, Shadow Ball doesn't quite KO, even though he got a Spadef drop. But Rotom goes down, and Weavile cleans up now. I KO the Buzzwole with the Aerial Ace, and thanks to all the Aqua Jet damage and the burn and all that, knockoff kills even though he is the Colbur Berry. So that's game. Yeah, I pick up a decent 1-0. Good game to my opponent. Of course, you prepped very well. Like, the Necrozma set would have been really scary had I not gotten a burn on it turn 1. Primarina, like, I had no switch-ins for that, so I had to play kind of like... I would say I really struggled playing around the Primarina, but I had one mock battle that went almost exactly the same way, where I struggled with Prim and then just kind of cleaned up with Weavile. So I kind of expected that to happen. I was prepared for that. I knew I needed to get some Toxic and keep Rotom healthy for that. And the Tailwind tech was really nice. If it was a +2 Buzzwole, like Buzzwole under Tailwind rather, just that could have just run through my team if you had weakened me down more with like Stealth Rocks or something, which he said his strategy was to get up Rocks turn 1, but I guess Rotom just spooked him, even though he knew he could have tanked and overheat and stuff. So, and I had no removal, which is not very smart of me necessarily, but Weavile still would have like been able to live because it's at full. It could have switched in a few times to the Rocks, but yeah, good game. There wasn't a lot of hacks this game, if any at all, except for like one Toxic mix on my part, but then I just went for it again. Didn't really matter. It just made Cofagrigus die quicker, but it wasn't doing anything anyways. So yeah, good game. I am now 1-1 with a 0 differential. I lost 1-0 the first week, and then I won 1-0. So I'm at even, which it's not bad to start the season this way. 2 really close games versus tough opponents, and going 1-on-1. Because honestly, it's like I'm looking at my future matchups and they're not quite as scary as these were. But yeah, really looking forward to playing the rest of my games. If you are too, go ahead and subscribe, because I'm going to be bringing lots of PTL stuff. We've got 12 weeks this season, so it's not like last season, which just dragged on forever. I got exhausted. I'm sure everyone else did, but this is a little bit more doable. Gonna keep doing team builders and battles every week, so stay tuned for that, and plus any other content, maybe other leagues will come up, so stay tuned for everything. If you like the video, like it. If you got anything else to say, go ahead and comment down below, and otherwise I'll see everyone in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.